G'day guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode of Hardcore Help. In this episode we are heading to the Nether to find a fortress and to acquire Blaze Rods and Netherwart for weakness potions and Eyes of Ender. So, let's jump into it. After a few struggles with sleeping and stray mobs in the base, I decided to move it closer to the mine. This provided easy access to the mine, as you can see it's like right behind it. But it also provided expansion possibilities later on in the episode. The cave area we still use, but I've transformed it into more of an enchanting area. We've put the brewing stand in there, there's the enchanting table, and I think there's a couple of furnaces still left in there, but most of the part we've moved everything into this little base here. The first plan for the fortress is to get the materials to craft potions of weakness to cure zombie villagers. This is so we can get cheaper trades when we give them a job. Trading for enchantment books is my preferred method of enchanting, and I like to have multiples of the books available just in case we have to create new armor at any time. The first main part of this episode is building up the villager breeder and zombie curing area. Both these designs are super easy to make and makes the process of creating these cheap trades a lot quicker and really hassle-free, which we all know is something that villagers don't do well. The villager breeder design is by Logical Geek Boy, and the zombie curing station is from Lindinger. Links to both these videos will be in the description if you guys want to create these in your own world. They are super easy and they require little redstone, and the resources needed are pretty easy to gather as well. Probably the two hardest requirements of the zombie curing area is the zombie itself and the name tag. If you're lucky enough to get a name tag during your adventures, which is pretty rare, you are set. If not, it's time to go fishing. I do suggest waiting till you at least have iron armor on before trying to capture the zombie, as this can turn from a good situation to a bad one almost instantly. As it is nighttime, just remember to be careful and look around constantly. You don't want to have a cheeky creeper sneak up behind you and blow you up. Skeletons are also very dangerous, as well as little baby zombies. Sometimes they're just really hard to hit. And we gave the zombie a sword so that he can kill the villagers quicker. It's not necessary, but it does make a big difference. We're also naming him so that he does not despawn when we're away. It's just a simple way to keep him there. Now that that's all sorted, I like to go to the Nether properly in diamond armor. Try and get as many enchantments as we can. At the moment, we've only got 33 levels, so we're going to try for some protection enchantments. If we don't get exactly what we want, it's not that big of a deal, because once we set up the villager trades, we're going to be able to customize exactly what we want on our armor. The other key thing with this is getting the gold and the boots, or any gold armor that you can. This is going to stop the piglins in the Nether from attacking you. This does not work for the piglin brutes, so if you do come across a ruined bastion, the piglin brutes are going to attack regardless of whether you've got gold armor or not. The armor I try to go for is protection. If we can't get that, I would be happy with fire protection, but some of the ones that we got was blast protection as well as unbreaking, which at this point in time is fine because we don't have many options for anything else. The other avenue that people go down for enchantment is mob farms. You can build a pretty simple mob farm in the sky that allows you to get experience somewhat quickly, and then you can use that to enchant your armor. This is another really good way of doing it. It's just not my preferred way. I like to know exactly what I'm getting for my armor rather than rolling the enchantment. Usually once I get my books, I do try and roll some enchantments just so we can get if we can get 2 on something before we put a book on it, that would be absolutely fantastic. But we'll see a little bit more of that later on in the episode. Now that we've got our armor somewhat sorted, we've got enchantments on it, and we've got some enchantments on our tools as well, we're going to head to the Nether and try and find a fortress. So as I said in the last episode, my preferred way of moving through the Nether is by tunneling. I just like this because it gives me a straight direction, and once I'm established, I can turn these into a nice Nether highway. So it's like kind of doing pre-work for end game situations. Nether fortresses spawn on the north-south axis. So if you're going north-south and you don't end up finding one, you may not find one for quite a while. So one of the tricks that I've heard on both YouTube and Twitch is to go along the east-west axis, and then once you run into one, you'll be able to go along that axis, and you'll generally find another one on the north-south. So basically the tip is to go east to west until you find one, and then you should be able to find more after that. Now, before we move on any further, I would like to mention that at some point before we got here, I did do some trading with some piglins, but unfortunately lost the footage. So I do suggest taking any gold that you do have and either turning it into golden apples and leaving some, or just trading straight with the piglins and trying to get some fire protection potions. That's what we've currently got on now. You can see the little yellow squiggles, and this will just help with the blazes. Blazes do hit with immense amount of power with their melee, but with the fire potion, you take away that fire damage that they'll do with their projectiles, which is extremely handy for the nether. Unfortunately, we don't have a wither protection potion, which would be really nice for that wither effect, but it's just not something that's there. Another thing that I don't remember whether I have mentioned just yet, but I'm pretty sure it's in the last episode, is for this area, you 100% need a shield. It is extremely helpful for blocking the blazes projectiles, and it's also very helpful just to block the wither skeletons as well. Now, when it comes to dangerous situations like this, I like to give myself a little bit of a safe area. So this area here would be considered our safe area. It's close to the exit, and it is also blocked off from the wither skeletons. And I try and do that semi-regularly. So as you can see, we've got another one here, and we're just looking around for the blaze spawner. And we're going to start making more safe areas leading towards that blaze spawner. Later on in this little bit of footage, you'll see that I do run into a couple of problems, and if it wasn't for these things, I don't think we would have made it out of the nether alive, which in hardcore is a very, very bad thing. Another thing to note is to light up all of your pathways if you want those withers not to spawn. At the moment, we're not looking for wither skulls, so it's not a big problem if they don't spawn. We're more looking for the blaze rods to get to the stronghold. So yeah, withers don't really matter. If you can do anything you can to block them off, 100% do it. My preferred method with dealing with blazes is ranged, but I understand that you're not always going to be able to have enough arrows to do this damage. So like I said, make sure you've got your shield on you. We currently don't have it equipped, but it will be coming on very soon if I remember correctly. I do take a lot of time in my hardcore run-throughs just to make sure that things are safe. So all this stuff here, you could say that it is a little bit extra and a little bit over the top, but at the end of the day, it's about survival. It's not about how quickly you do it. And in this case, the aim of this point, like I said, is to get out of the nether. Now that we find the blaze spawner, I've got a really good design by Old Bear that is an easy blaze farm that you can make really early on as well. All it requires is slabs, and you can use any slabs. It doesn't have to be the nether brick slabs, but they're just easily accessible at this point in time. A bunch of hoppers, and I usually use a door, but you can just block that area off as well. The one thing that I didn't anticipate is multiple spawners being around. Now, there was another blaze spawner around here somewhere, and it was spawning crazy amounts of blazes, and this restricted my exit from this area once I'd gotten all the rods that I needed. So make sure just to scout out the area as well if you can, if you've got enough time. And make sure there's not going to be any other spawns anywhere near, because, you know, once you get the blaze rods, it's fine. But you kind of really need to be able to get out as well. This is my first attempt, and it was a little bit rough. As you can see, there's things just spawned everywhere. There's a wither skeleton, there's blazes absolutely everywhere. It was not the best idea we ever had. In hardcore, if you've got that time to sort of sit back and try and think about a decision, definitely take it. In this case here, I thought we were pretty much done, and I was a little scared for a little while because it would have sucked to have a hardcore help video that ended in the first episode. But what we ended up doing is going underneath, tunneling under everyone, and just making our way back to where we thought the exit was, which was a nice, safe way to get out. Remember that the nether fortresses do have bricks underneath them, and you can do this. You can do this right from the start if you really wanted to. If you knew where the blazes were, you could tunnel under and then go all the way there. Restricts the amount of damage that you're potentially going to take from these guys. Now that we've got our blaze rods, we need to get the netherwart so that we can brew our potions. Usually the netherwart is within the inside of the fortress itself, so some of the rooms through some of the tunnels. I usually try and just light my way up so to reduce that possibility of wither skeletons spawning and just going through. Sometimes you can find chests as well within the fortress tunnels, and they'll maybe sometimes contain some really good stuff that you can take. Other times it's just saddles and horse armor and stuff like that. But once we get our netherwart, it's time to head out of the nether and try not to come back here for quite a little while. We may have to come back when we need more blaze rods for the Eyes of Ender, but we may have enough just to find the stronghold to start off with anyway. Making our way back now, we're going to start the villager curing process, and it is super simple with the setup that we have. Basically, once you push a button, it dispenses a minecart, and that minecart will then automatically pick up one of the villagers and place it in a position down below near the zombie. Now, initially, I tried to put the job block down next to it, but it didn't work for me straight away, and I think that might just be, I don't know, something to do with the way I've set this up. So instead, I just pushed the villager straight into the zombie and got him to kill the villager. There's a little bit of things I need to change up for this farm myself. I may have built a little bit wrong, but eventually the zombie does kill him and changes him into a zombie villager. Next up, we bring him up to this point here, which we also built wrong. Use the splash potion of weakness, which is, I'll try and add the recipe to the screen so that you guys can see how to make that. And then after you do that, you just feed them a golden apple, and this is considered as curing, which will give you the cheaper trades. It does take a little while. It can take up to 5 minutes for the zombie to actually cure itself. But once it is, you can press the button that is next to this rail and get him transported down to his new home. And as you can see, we've got discounted prices. He has locked onto that barrel. There were a few things we did wrong in this section, but eventually we got there. This design for the villager trading hall is super simple. There are much better designs online of ones that automatically pass them through the system and put them into a trading system. Let me know in the comments if you want to see one of those, and I'll be happy to link them in a future video or even in this video. We're getting towards the end of this episode. Basically, what I'm going to be doing is getting all the villagers set up into their areas and trying to get those trades that we need. We'll focus more on the trades next episode, as well as how to find the stronghold. But for the moment, that is all we have time for today. So hopefully this one has helped. If you've got any other questions about the Nether, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, we do stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And if you've got any questions, feel free to come across there and ask. Either I'll be able to answer it or someone in the chat will also be able to answer it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Hardcore Help. The next episode, like I said, we'll be heading to the stronghold and getting ready for that Ender Dragon fight. All right, once again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. All right, bye for now.